Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of Wicked Whispers, where the shadows come alive and nightmares whisper their secrets.
The night was dark and stormy as the group of ghost hunters approached the Ridgeside Asylum, their flashlights flickering in the wind. The imposing structure loomed ahead, its Gothic spires silhouetted against the lightning-streaked sky. Built in the late 19th century, the asylum had a dark history of suffering and despair, and it was said that the souls of those who had perished within its walls still roamed the halls. Tonight, we delve into the spine-chilling tales of the Ridgeside Asylum, exploring its haunted past and the eerie encounters that continue to terrify those who dare to enter. Ridgeside Asylum, located on the outskirts of a small town, was constructed in 1887 to house the mentally ill and criminally insane. At its peak, the asylum held over 2,000 patients, many of whom were subjected to horrific treatments and conditions. Electroshock therapy, lobotomies, and confinement were common practices, and the screams of patients could often be heard echoing through the halls. The asylum's founder, Dr. Elias Warrington, believed that extreme measures were necessary to cure the mentally ill. His methods were controversial and often brutal, earning the asylum a notorious reputation. Many patients died under his care, and it is said that their spirits remained trapped within the asylum's walls, seeking vengeance or peace. The first reports of ghostly activity at Ridgeside Asylum began shortly after its closure in the 1970s. Local residents claimed to see strange lights flickering in the windows at night and heard unexplained noises coming from the abandoned building. Some even reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the overgrown grounds. One of the earliest documented encounters involved a group of teenagers who decided to explore the asylum on a dare. As they wandered through the dark, decaying corridors, they heard the sound of footsteps following them. Terrified, they fled the building, but one of them looked back to see a ghostly figure in a white hospital gown standing at the end of the hallway. The figure seemed to watch them with hollow, vacant eyes before disappearing into the shadows. One of the most well-known spirits haunting Ridgeside Asylum is that of Nurse Evelyn, a kind and compassionate nurse who worked at the asylum for many years. Despite the harsh conditions, she did her best to care for the patients and bring some measure of comfort to their lives. Tragically, she was found dead under mysterious circumstances, her body discovered in the basement where the most dangerous patients were kept. Visitors to the asylum have reported seeing Nurse Evelyn's ghost wandering the halls, her spectral form still dressed in her old-fashioned nurse's uniform. She is often seen near the basement stairs, where she met her untimely end. Some say they have felt a cold, comforting presence when she is near, as if she is still trying to care for those who enter the asylum. Another chilling spirit that haunts Ridgeside Asylum is known as the Wailing Woman. Believed to be the ghost of a patient who was driven mad by the brutal treatment she endured, the Wailing Woman is often heard crying and screaming in the dead of night. Her mournful wails echo through the empty halls, sending chills down the spines of those who hear them. One paranormal investigator, Sarah, had a terrifying encounter with the Wailing Woman while conducting an overnight investigation. As she and her team set up their equipment in the old operating theater, they heard the unmistakable sound of a woman sobbing. The cries grew louder and more desperate, and when Sarah turned to look, she saw a translucent figure of a woman with wild, tangled hair and hollow eyes standing in the doorway. The figure let out a blood-curdling scream before vanishing, leaving the team shaken and eager to leave the asylum. The spirits of former patients are also said to haunt the Ridgeside Asylum, their tortured souls unable to find peace. These phantom patients are often seen wandering the halls or staring out of windows, their ghostly forms a reminder of the suffering they endured in life. One night, a group of urban explorers entered the asylum and encountered a ghostly patient in the old recreation room. The figure was sitting in a corner, rocking back and forth and muttering to himself. When one of the explorers approached, the figure looked up with vacant, haunted eyes before disappearing into thin air. The experience left the group deeply unsettled and convinced that the asylum was truly haunted. In addition to ghostly apparitions, Ridgeside Asylum is also known for its poltergeist activity. Objects are often moved or thrown by unseen forces, and doors slammed shut on their own. Many who have visited the asylum report feeling an oppressive, malevolent presence that seems to follow them. During one investigation, a team of paranormal researchers set up cameras and audio recorders throughout the building. As they reviewed their footage, they were shocked to see chairs being dragged across the floor and doors slamming shut with no apparent cause. In one chilling piece of footage, a heavy metal door is seen closing with great force, as if pushed by an invisible hand. Shadow figures are another common phenomenon at Ridgeside Asylum. These dark, humanoid shapes are often seen darting through the halls or lurking in corners, watching visitors with malevolent intent. Some believe these shadow figures are the spirits of patients who were driven to madness and violence by the treatments they endured. One security guard, Tom, who was hired to keep trespassers out of the asylum, had a terrifying encounter with a shadow figure during his rounds. As he patrolled the darkened hallways, he saw a tall, dark shape standing at the end of the corridor. The figure moved toward him with unnatural speed, and Tom felt a cold, suffocating presence engulf him. He managed to break free and run outside, refusing to return to the asylum after that night. Among the spirits that haunt Ridgeside Asylum are those of the children who were admitted to the facility. These young souls are often seen playing in the halls or heard laughing and giggling, their innocence sounds a stark contrast to the otherwise eerie atmosphere. One night, a caretaker named Lisa was working late when she heard the sound of children laughing coming from the old children's ward. She followed the sounds to find a group of ghostly children playing a game of hide-and-seek. As she watched, the children suddenly stopped and looked at her with sad, empty eyes before disappearing. The encounter left Lisa with a deep sense of sorrow and a belief that the children's spirits were still trapped in the asylum. The chapel at Ridgeside Asylum, once a place of solace and prayer, is now said to be one of the most haunted areas of the building. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures kneeling in prayer, hearing the faint sound of hymns, and feeling a cold, heavy presence in the room. During one investigation, a paranormal team captured an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, of a ghostly voice reciting the Lord's Prayer. As they listened to the recording, they felt an overwhelming sense of unease, as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. The team later discovered that many patients had sought refuge in the chapel during their darkest moments, leading them to believe that the spirits were still seeking solace in death. The legacy of Ridgeside Asylum is one of pain, suffering, and the lingering presence of tortured souls. The haunting tales and eerie encounters experienced by visitors and investigators alike have cemented the asylum's reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. The stories and experiences shared by those who have ventured into the asylum add to the rich tapestry of its history. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is no denying the palpable sense of fear and sadness that envelopes the building. The ghosts of Ridgeside Asylum serve as a reminder of the dark history of mental health treatment and the enduring power of place and memory. As the storm rages on outside the Ridgeside Asylum, the shadows lengthen, and the air grows still. The ghostly legends and eerie encounters continue to haunt the minds of those who visit, ensuring that the story of the Ridgeside Asylum ghosts will be told for generations to come. The question remains, will you dare to visit and uncover the secrets of the Ridgeside Asylum ghosts?